All right. Hello, everybody. It is 7 o'clock on the dot, and we will be on time today. Welcome, 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 future authors and authors. Yeah, future authors and authors now. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. Welcome to our first Google Hangout. I am so excited. I am Nadia Matthews with Stokes Mathews Media, Literary Publishing and Publicity. And today it is with childlike giddiness that we bring to you this awesome woman. I am such a fan of her. I literally stumbled upon her. I guess it was maybe 6 months ago, or maybe it was even a year ago. And I think the book that I read of hers is actually very old. It's called Who Is He to You? It's in her Malignant Mind series. And I read that book. I couldn't put it down. I wouldn't feed my kids. I didn't go to the bathroom. Everyone in the house was mad at me. What are you reading? Don't talk to me. And I'm telling you, I stumbled on her because everyone that knows me knows that I'm a diehard romance junkie. So her book is a thriller. And I could not put it down. She's an amazing author. So as soon as I logged out, I immediately wrote a review. And then I commenced my social media stalking. I found her on Facebook and Goodreads. You know how we do. And I reached out to her, and I found out that she's not only a phenomenal writer and an author, but she also has her own publishing company. So she helps aspiring authors with editing and cover design and typesetting and all of these great things. And so it was just a match made in heaven at that point, because that is what my first love is publishing. So I couldn't wait to find her and connect with her, and I made sure that I did. And so I'm really glad to bring to you guys Monique Mensah. Say hello, Monique.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Stokes and Matthews, for inviting me.
Great. Now I want Nicole to actually give all of the actual bio behind you, because I know that I am just gonna be giddy and excited. So I wanted her to actually read your bio so
Okay.
people knew who you were.
Okay.
Hi,
Sounds good.
everyone. I am Nicole Stokes with Stokes Mathews Media. I'm the other half, and I want to read about the actual facts about Monique Mensah so you guys can get super excited about her like Nadia is. So here goes. Who is Monique Mensah? Monique D. Mensah is a three-time award-winning author of 5 novels. She began her career as a self-published author in 2009 when she wrote and published her first novel, Who Is He to You? A 2010 Best Book Awards finalist for African American fiction. Her second novel, Inside Rain, was the winner of the 2010 Best Book Awards in the same category. Her
Wow.
debut was also the #1 Amazon bestseller for dramas for 7 consecutive months. With a knack for penning dark and gritty dramas and psychological thrillers, she went on to author Smokescreen, Nemesis, and Death's Companion as the first 5 installments of the Malignant Mind series. Along the way, she has earned awards as AAMBC's Author of the Year and Best Female Author of the OOSA or OSA All Things Literary Awards. Monique was also featured on the Michael Bazin show for Inside Rain, their chosen book of the week. She travels the country as a featured author for literary events and conferences and visiting book clubs for exciting and sometimes controversial book discussions. Monique started Make Your Mark Editing in 2007, specializing in copy, line, and developmental editing for dozens of independent authors. After realizing her editing clients needed after realizing her editing clients' need for self-publishing assistance, she expanded her services to include self-service publishing. She expanded her service to include full-service self-publishing solutions and created Make Your Mark Publishing Solutions in 2013. With a business degree from the University of Michigan, professional training as a copy editor from Henry Ford Community College, and 5 years experience as a successful self-published author. Monique has a passion for the written word, and she is dedicated to assisting independent authors in making their dreams become reality. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you Monique D. Mensah.
Insert applause.
Right, we need a clap track. What is it, a laugh track?
That would be cool.
Monique, that bio was way better than what I said. I mean,
No, I thought what you said was good though. It was from the heart. It was from the heart.
So well accomplished. I was like, wow. Okay, yes, I do want to get to know her. Now I need to really go out and pick up this Malignant Mind. When I heard that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like
Crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I think the first question I want to ask, I'm sorry, Nadia, I don't know if you had a question first.
Okay, go ahead.
I know this is your Monique Mensah. But the first question I wanted to ask, because you said you touch on these dark subjects, like what first is your, I have two questions. So what first is your process of getting there to write these subjects? Like what headspace do you have to be in? And then number two, what gave you the courage to even start talking about these things and then let alone writing these things?
Well, I'm just kind of weird. Those are the type of things that I like. I like dark stuff. That's the type of like psychological stuff. Like I like the fact that I believe that any one of us is on the brink of insanity at any moment. No matter how sane you may be right now, something could happen in 2 seconds to turn you completely insane. That's how fragile and intricate our brains are. And I think that's fascinating, you know, and I just write the type of stuff that I like to read, that I like to watch. When I started my first book, Who Is He to You, the one that Nadia was talking about, I didn't know that that's what I had in me. I had no idea that's what I had in me. I knew I wanted to write a book. I knew that I wanted to write it about 3 women. I knew I wanted them to be connected in some way. And I sat down and I freestyled that whole book, and that just came off the top of my head. When I went back and read it, I was like, oh, wow, it's kind of deep. You know, but it was definitely, it was real. You know, it came straight from the heart. It came straight off the top of my head. And the other books just follow suit. And I said, okay, I write dark stuff. That's just what I write. That's what I find interesting. That's what grips me. And, you know, other weirdos like me, you know, will enjoy the same thing. So that's where that comes from. And I forgot the second part of your question.
So I was saying, what gave you the courage to actually share those stories? Because people would look at you sideways, like, is she okay? Like you said, our mentalities are pretty fragile. So
right.
What gave you the courage to go ahead and put yourself out there as this type of writer?
I write for myself. I don't write for anybody else. I write because I like to read what I wrote. You know, just like I said, I like to read the type of stuff that I write. I will finish a book. I will push it to the limit to finish a book in the last month because I want to read it. You know, So if I enjoy it and if it works for me, I'm fine. I'm not going to lie and say that, you know, if nobody likes my books, my feelings wouldn't be hurt, you know. But in the writing process, that's what gives me the courage, knowing that I'm writing for me and I'm writing something that satisfies me. And I'm writing because I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. This is my God-given talent. This is my natural talent. Everyone has a talent. And our jobs here on this planet, our purpose is to enrich other people's lives by sharing that talent. And in believing that, I don't even know if I call it courage, it just becomes automatic. You know, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, this is what I have to do, I'm gonna put it out there. And I don't know, I mean, obviously, you know, the first book, Who Is He to You, I was scared out of my mind. You know, I was really nervous. I never shared my writing before outside of like school, when I had to do school assignments. But once it was out there and it was well received, it only solidified, you know, only confirmed for me, like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It's not just a thought, it's real. So that's where it comes from. I mean, I have to do it.
I think that's awesome, because so many people, you know, it takes them a lot. I work with authors as well, and I do editing as well, and it takes them a lot to kind of get over that hump and realize that this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, you know. And then going out there and putting themselves out there. So I definitely commend you for that. And I love the answer that you gave to that. You said this is your purpose. So it becomes automatic. And I think that's what Nadia and I are both striving for, is to get authors in the headspace that this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is who you are. So it's time to share that story.
Absolutely. So Monique, how did you start? Like, did you just sit down and did you start to write? Did you have the mind that I'm going to write a book? What started, and then did you have any hang-ups? Or was there anything that maybe made you sit down for a second and put the manuscript away?
Definitely. I can tell you where it started. When I was 8 years old, that's when I told my mom I wanted to be an author. Because I was always good at writing stories, and I was in the 3rd grade. My teacher, Miss Samuelson, she used to always make me read my stories. My English teacher, make me read the stories in front of the class. She'd make me read it to, like, they would have like the PTO meetings or, the principals meetings and stuff like that. I would have to read it in front of a group and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm gonna be an author. That's what I'm gonna do. And life happens. I had a kid. I went to college. I got a job. I'm working, and I was working at this job, and I was making really good money, but I felt like I was trapped. I was really unhappy. I felt like what am I doing? Like, I feel like I'm just gonna be here for the rest of my life just because it's decent money. And so I was talking to my best friend at the time about it, and she said, well, why don't you just write a book? Like, isn't that what you're supposed to be doing anyway? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to write a book. Yeah, so I'll write a book. So that weekend is when I started writing Who Is He to You? And I didn't have a process. There was no process. Like, I think that's a good thing, though, because I was so naive about the industry, the process, anything. I was going on heart alone. You know what I'm saying? So none of that stuff mattered. It was just like, I'm about to write, So I sat down and I wrote. I didn't have a chapter outline. I didn't do character bios. I didn't do any type of real research beyond, Googling some stuff online. And I literally freestyled this book. You know how rappers freestyle off the top? I freestyled this book, and I think it took me, I did have some, definitely have some hang-ups. Like, I'll get tired. I bore easily. Very, very easily. I get bored, and I get distracted really easily. So there were times I would put it down, and I didn't really, feel motivated. And again, like I said, my best friend at the time was a real big motivator for me, because she said, Monique, she's like, you get stuck on these projects, you get stuck on these things, you go hard for a couple months, and you forget about it. She was like, this can't be that. She's like, you have to do this, you have to finish this. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do it. So she used to be on me, and she's part of the reason why I finished it. I did finish it, and I was proud of my work. And during the process, I did start to research, how to publish, how to advertise my book, how to, do different things, how to find an agent, how to, all the stuff you need to know about publishing. I did start researching while I was writing and taking it more seriously. And at the end, I just self-published. I tried to get an agent and get traditionally published. When that didn't work out, I let the book sit for a year. And then when she comes again, like, what are you doing? Like, you have this book, you finished this book, the book is great. You need to publish the book. So then that's when I started the self-publishing process.
Now, I love what you said, because I talk to writers or aspiring writers about that all the time. You need accountability partner. Like, you need someone who's going to hold you responsible to whatever it is that you're trying to do. So I'm so glad that you had your friend, because that book was amazing. I'm kind of mad that you styled it and it came out and it was that good. But I'm just saying, it was amazing.
Thank you.
Can you tell us the actual timelines of how long it took? Because you said sometimes you put it down, you did it, because I think people we have this whole instantaneous microwave generation. People want to write books in 30 days. They even have books on books, how to write a book in 30 days.
They do.
So how long did it take you?
How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
I mean, I personally cannot write a book in 30 days. I don't even see. I mean, maybe it could be possible for someone else who, they don't have anything else to do and they're just like totally inspired. Maybe, I don't know. But even if you did write the book in 30 days, then you have to rewrite the book. How long does that take? I don't think that the finished product is going to be ready for publication in 30 days. Absolutely not.
I agree.
For me, I can't speak for anybody else. Who Is He to You took me 10 months.
Okay.
So even when my breaks in between, it took me 10 months. It's never taken me over a year to write a book, except for my last one, Death Companion. But that was just because I was just distracted. And I just didn't feel like doing it. If I was to write straight through with no distractions and stay on track and stay motivated, it would probably take me about 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
That's never happened though. So I would say on average it's about 10 months, close to a year, but under. Yeah.
Now I have a question also about the writing itself. Do you write linearly, like in a line, like chapter 1 in the beginning, whatever, chapter 2, then she did this and he did that, or do you write in a circle, then you kind of piece it together in the editing process?
It depends on the book. Every book I had a different process. The book drove me. The story is what dictated what I needed to do. Who Is He to You was very linear because, like I said, I didn't even know what I was about to write. I'm like, I got 3 women. All right, so this is what happened. That's all I did. For my second book, Inside Rain, I knew the ending first. I wrote the last scene in the book first, and the rest of the book was justifying that end.
Ending.
My fourth book, Nemesis, half of the story took place in 1994. The other half took place in the present. And so, yeah, I was definitely skipping around. I would write 3 chapters of the 94, parts of it. And then I would write some chapters of the other one and just, put them all together or switch them around because I could with that particular story. So it just depends. I definitely let my characters dictate what their story is. I let the story drive me and tell me. So it's not contrived. It's definitely organic. It's definitely something that, that brings me to it instead of me forcing it. Awesome. And I think that it comes through in the writing when it's not forced.
Right. I remember I went to a conference and a blind poet, she said that when you write a truth, like when you write a truth that's true to you, even if it's maybe just personal, she said then it becomes a universal truth. So I think that's what you're saying when it's not contrived. So, and I think when you write from that space that you write from, it has an automatic built-in audience. Like people are going to automatically find it. Yeah, you have to go out and do the footwork to find your audience, but when you do, you have people like Nadia and now me, because I'm getting ready to buy this book as soon as I get off the chat with you. I really want to know what's going on. I have to be in the end circle now. So that's automatically built in when you write from a space of, I'm a writer, this is what I'm supposed to do, and we're going to see what happens.
Absolutely. Yep.
So Monique, I know that you write thrillers, and you really are very descriptive, and you really kind of invite your reader into the storyline, not just in the storyline, like you become sisters to the brothers, or you become, aunties to the nieces, like you really put your reader in with the characters. So I just read The Funeral. I read the one that you wrote, In the Funeral, and I wanted to throw the book across the room. I'm sure most people have told you that.
As you should.
But, which is another book that she has. She has just a short story inside of another book called The Funeral. Go get that. You'll love it. But the thing I wondered about that is, how did you condense it? Like, I think you did a great job of, I still felt like I was there watching her life replay, but at the same time, you write very long books. So I was like, how did she shorten that? Like, what was your process with that?
Yeah, that's something I thought I would never be able to do. I have a writer friend, well, a friend who happens to be a writer too. His name is J.D. Jones, and I really admire his writing. I think he's a genius when it comes to writing. And he writes a lot of short stories. And I read one of his books. I read his book, and it was full of short stories. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, every story I tell is going to be 300 pages. Like, it's going to be 300 pages. And he gave me some pointers. He was just like, he was like, you can't have a lot of subplots. He's like, cut out all those subplots. That's not important. He was like, what you need to know is the climax. He's like, everything needs to revolve around that climax and how you can get to it. And he was like, you have to outline. And this is what he told me. And I'm like, okay. So that's what I did. I knew that this story was called Day 7. I knew this story was going to happen in 8 days. So I plotted out my days. I said, okay, on day 1, this is going to happen. On day 2, this is going to happen. And everything had to lead up to day 7 on that climax. And so that's how I was able to streamline it. Where before, like, like say for my other books, I may not do a chapter outline. I may do a chapter outline for like maybe 3 chapters and then freestyle and then come back and then, you know, come up with some different subplots and and this can happen and that can happen. With short stories, for me, I couldn't do it that way. I had to get straight to the point. So I always knew what my end goal was. I always knew that in every single chapter it had to be a pow in there to be like, oh, what? You know, so for me to go to the next one until you get to day 7 where you just faint because you like, well, what happened?
Right.
So yeah, so that was my process for that, and that was my very first short story. I didn't think I could do it. I did it. I was proud of myself. I do think it was a lot going on in that short story.
Yes.
But I mean, that's me though. You know, I think that's my style. It has to be a lot going on. It has to have your mind going like this. Like, what is she talking about? Where is this going? And then it all just comes together in the end. You're like, oh.
Did you find a new audience with that short story?
Absolutely, because it was an anthology with 4 other very talented authors.
They were. Yeah,
yes. Brian W. Smith, Nakia Arlashaw, J.D. Mason, and Pamela Samuels Young, who just won the NAACP award for one of her books.
Wow.
So yeah, absolutely, it was people who hadn't even heard of me, who had never heard of me, who would pick up the book because they were Pamela Samuels Young, you know, fan or a Brian W. Smith fan. They would pick it up because of them. And they were like, oh, wow, you know, Monique's kind of dope too, you know, so they would, you know, pick up our books and vice versa. You know, those people that read the book just because of me and discovered these other authors. And that was really the purpose. You know, the way Brian, I don't know if you're familiar with Brian W. Smith, he saw gutter with everything. He was just like, you know, he was like, it's just like, you know, when Drake does a verse on a Jay-Z song. You know, Drake fans gonna come and listen to the song because of Jay-Z, and Jay-Z fans go listen to it because of, you know, Drake or whatever. He was like, that's exactly what we're doing. He was like, we helping each other out. I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense, and it did work. It was a great project.
Definitely.
Do you have any plans to write any more full-length books?
Well, I just finished Death's Companion. That took me a long time to finish, like I said, because I was just unfocused. So I have to do the rewrites on that one and get it edited, and that one's going to come out. I haven't started another one yet because I've really been into my Make Your Mark business. I've been really going hard with that. But yeah, I mean, as long as there is a book idea in me, I'm going to write it. I have to write it. You know, that's what I'm here for. So yeah, definitely until the ideas run out, and they probably never will, you know, I'm going to keep writing.
Because you're weird. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I think that segues perfectly into what I wanted to talk to you about, like helping authors and helping people with your publishing company, because as you're speaking, I can tell that you're very centered and you're very focused on what you do. Like you're sure and you're certain of your purpose and your calling. But then how do you get your authors that come to you and like, oh my gosh, I want to be just like you. They want to follow in your footsteps, but they may not have that confidence yet. They may not understand that writing is their gifting. Like, how do you take that author and help them get to a published book stage?
Mm-hmm.
I just make it a real thing for them. Like I have, once you're in the process, once I take your book, because it all starts with, most of my clients, they start with editing. Actually, all my clients start with editing. I have yet to have someone come to me and just say, you know, print me some copies or, you know, make me a cover. So they all start with editing. And most of them are the same. Most of them are like, you know, what if nobody likes my book? What if, you know, what if it doesn't sound right? What if I don't sell any copies? What if this? You know, they all have these different questions that I've had at some point, obviously. And I'm a realist. I'm a person that's gonna be like, I'm gonna give it to you from my experience, and I'm gonna give it to you straight, and I'm gonna tell you what you need to do. What if everybody doesn't like my book? Everybody's not going to like your book. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not gonna like your book. I was like, but what's going to determine if that's gonna make or break you is if you believe in your book. Do you believe in your book? That's what we're going to do. That's what we're doing in the editing process here. I'm going to tell you your strengths and weaknesses. We're going to work out, you know, what works, what doesn't work until you love your book. When you love your book and you love what you're doing, it doesn't matter if everybody likes your book. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you have to have that peace of mind and know that you're putting out quality work. All of my clients, every single one, are 100% dead serious about what they're doing. You know, whether the skill level is up here or down here, because we all know that just because your mama say you can write does not mean you can write, okay? But whether the skill level is here or here, right? But the passion is always up here. If the passion is up here, I can work with you. You know what I'm saying? I can work with you. I can let you know, look, this is what it's gonna be. And once they start getting into the process, then they kind of relax a little because it's starting to happen now. Like where before it looked like this big unattainable goal, like how the hell am I going to do that? I'm making it real for you because I'm doing it and I'm showing you every step of the way. This is the process. This is how it's going to happen. I'm just making it real and tangible for you to feel, for you to know that this is going to be possible for you. And they're like, oh my God, oh thank you so much. I never knew I was going to be an author. I'm like, yeah, you know, as long as you have the passion and the drive and you're serious about it, I'm there for you. You know, I'm like so much more than an editor. Like even before I started the publishing solutions part, like, they'd call me just like I'm chilling, you know, my daughter watching a movie or whatever. It's like 8 o'clock at night. Oh my God, I hate my book. What am I gonna do with my life?
Wow.
I'm like a counselor.
Therapy, exactly.
Right, you know. I'm like, listen, I hated my books too. You know, I hate every single one of my books at some point in the process. Because you're tired of reading it, you're tired of going through it. You're not reading it as your readers are reading now. Now you're reading it as like it's this tedious task that you have to go through. You've read it a million times. Of course you're going to hate it. And I explained to them, it's like having a baby. It's exactly like having a baby. You're so excited at first. You know, like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a mom. I'm gonna be an author. Oh my God. And then the baby start kicking. You're like, oh my God, this is so cute. And then the baby start getting on your nerves. You start getting sick. You like, you ready for this baby to come out. I can't do this no more. You cussing everybody out. It's crazy. You ready for this book to be done. This baby to be out.
Yes.
And you tired of it. You like, listen, I don't even want to be a mom. Like, I don't even want to do this. But you too far in the process to turn back, right? And then finally, when the baby is born and you holding that book in your hand, all you can think about is doing it all over again.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because you fall in love instantly. And that's the part that gets me excited about the process with my authors. They get so into it and I get so excited for them. And I'm like, oh my God, we just had a baby. You know, and they just, you know, and that's why I do it, because to see those looks on their faces and to go back to how I feel. Every single time I publish a book, I get excited like that. When I did The Funeral, the short story and anthology, I was excited like that. Like, I just had a baby, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is my baby. And to give that to other people who have the passion up here, you know, that makes it all just, like, worthwhile every single time.
So when do you know to, like, okay, passion is one thing, but like you said, everybody doesn't have the skill set to do it. Yeah. So how do you say, okay, you're really passionate about it, but kind of, I don't want to say let people down. Do you let people down? Do you say that maybe this is not the book that we can work with? Or do you kind of like help everybody along the way and kind of write their book for them?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't have time to do that. So if you come, I mean, I do a sample edit for everybody. Okay. I do a sample edit for every single person that comes to me. It helps me determine their fee, number one, and also it helps to show them what I can do for them. Because you want to come in here making an informed decision. And happy to say that 90% of the time you get a sample edit from me, you're going with me. But they during that process, if it's something, if I feel like I'm going to be pretty much rewriting your book to make it readable, to make it, you know, relatable, to make it even work in the smallest sense, I'm going to tell you, you know, I'm probably not the best editor for you. You know, I'm going to give you some resources. I'm going to say, you know, this is probably, you know, this has helped me along my writing process. And these are some strengths, some weaknesses that I kind of was able to pull out from the sample that I did. And maybe you should read these books, or maybe you should do this and try this process and try these things. But at this point, I don't think I'll be able to, you know, to give you the help that you need. You know, but I'll try to send them in a different direction. I'm happy to say that has only happened once, where I had to turn someone away because I felt like I wasn't going to be able to give them the help that they needed. From there, you know, the person that's not absolutely, you know, that's workable but not as great as maybe some of my other authors, I do the same thing. You know, I'm very honest. When you get your edit, when you get your manuscript back from me, you're going to have like 1,000 comments. You're going to have like a 12-page critique about your story. I'm going to break every single part of it down. I even give you a star rating on your book, a 1 to 5 star rating, and let you know this is what I think about your book. And I'm not I'm not your friend. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I'm gonna be tactful and I'm gonna be professional, but I'm not your friend. You didn't hire me to be your mom and tell you that you're pretty every day and you're a princess. You didn't hire me for that. You hired me to make your book work. You understand? So that's what I'm doing, and I'm not just gonna I'm not trying to tear you down. I'm gonna say these are your weaknesses, and these are how we can make them strengths. But that only works if you're passionate about it, if you care. If you don't care, then what are we doing? Then anything that I say is not gonna work.
That's great. Monique, we have a question for you from Alan. I'm not sure. Well, the question is, have you found a lot of diversity, gender, race, characterization, etc., from the writing standpoint in the genre you write?
Have I found a lot of diversity from the authors in the genre that I write?
It just says from the writing standpoint in the genre you write. So I'm not sure if you're speaking of an author or.
Okay, I think that I'm gonna go with the author thing. Yeah, I mean psychological thrillers, dark dramas. I don't really see a whole lot of that in the African American.
No, you don't.
Community.
Yeah, you don't.
I don't. And even though like my books feature African American characters, because that's what I relate to. You know what I'm saying? That's who I am, and I have to represent. Yeah, like even though, but I think the characters in their stories are relatable to all races. I think to all different types of demographics. I definitely believe that. And yeah, I would say that most, and I hate to say this, but I guess it's kind of true. Like a big bulk of the Black authors are writing a lot of the same things. We see the street fiction, the drug dealers and the pimps up, hoes down. Can I say hoes? I'm sorry. So so you see that type of thing. Then you see like the church dramas. You see a lot of those.
Yes.
And you see erotica. That's what I see the most of. And I didn't come in here trying to be different. I didn't come in this game saying I'm gonna be a Black author that's gonna write stuff that Black authors don't really write.
Right.
Whatever. Like I said, I was writing for me. I wasn't writing for, whatever demographic or whatever the industry said you should do. I was writing for me, and that's what came out of me. And it just happened to be something that was a little bit different from what we normally see from the Black authors. So with that, I should say, yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of diversity in the genres that I write.
And I think one of the main things that you said in that is find your own voice. That is a very important thing when you're writing your book is don't try to write like anybody else. I think for me, that's because you kind of categorized me in there when you said faith fiction, African American fiction. Right. Faith-based fiction is what I write, and it's because I'm a church baby and I've been in the church forever, and I'm African American, so I write what I know and I write what I'm comfortable with. And I think that's what makes me a good author. So you have to write what you feel comfortable with. Don't try to write about aliens or spaceships or all of these crazy things if you don't feel comfortable with that, because you won't be able to write it. You won't have any longevity in it.
And so many people write what they think is hot right now.
Right.
Like, oh, erotica's hot right now because the whole 50 Shades of Grey, whatever. So I'm gonna write some money porn, or Ashley Jaquavis, they made a bunch of money doing this, so I'm gonna write some street fiction, urban fiction. When it's like you don't even know what you're talking about. Like you don't know nothing about that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely, and readers can sense that. Readers can sense your authenticity or your lack thereof.
Yeah.
So write for yourself. Write what comes out. Write what's in you. Write from your experiences. And people can tell. Just like if you come up to me and you greeting me with a fake smile on your face, I can tell. Yeah. If you write a book that it's not from your heart, you don't know nothing about that, your readers can tell. And chances are it's not going to succeed. Chances are.
It won't.
Even if
pretension is real and people understand.
And I would say, like, even if your book doesn't become, hit a bestseller list, or even if you don't, win an award, if writing faith dramas is from your heart, that's what that's what inspires you, then you're already successful, because you're writing something that's real, that's authentic, that you can relate to other people with. I mean, you've done your job. You've done what you need to do. So, and that's what I do. I write what comes to me.
But speaking of your job, like, okay, people are going to say that's great. I'm doing my passion, but there are a lot of people they want to know, can I really make money from this? Like, can I really be an author full time and make good money doing this?
Absolutely, but the same people that ask that question don't want to put in the work. You know,
Mm.
it's definitely, it's hard work. It's a lot of work. Like when I put my books out, my first two books, Who Is He to You and Inside Rain, were my two most successful books. And I had a full-time job. I've always had a full-time job throughout this whole process. In 2011, I made more money from book sales than I made at my job, my full-time job for the year.
Wow.
Why is that? That's not because I'm passionate and I just put a book out and I'm just like, yeah, people gonna buy my book because I'm dope. No, I did a lot of research. I did a lot of work because I believed that this was my purpose, because I believed I could be successful. You know, I looked up the different blog sites where I could advertise on. You know, I made sure my stuff looked good. I made sure I looked good no matter where I went. I traveled to different events. I went to different conventions. I went to my first book convention. I didn't even have no book, but I had a bunch of flyers. I had a bunch of flyers. On one side was a bio with a book. On the other side was my bio with my picture. You know, I gave myself visibility online, with an online platform and in person. You know, I'm, you know, on Facebook all the time. I'm paying for ads. I'm, you know, knocking on doors for brick and mortar bookstores, asking if they'll stock my book. You have to put in the work. If you are willing to put in the work and continue to do the work, absolutely you can be successful. You can definitely make money from it.
Okay.
You know, you just have to do it. And a lot of people, I want to say most authors, especially independently published authors, are either not willing to put in the work or don't know what to do in order to get themselves out there. They say most independently published authors sell less than 100 books. I've sold 40,000. You know, just because I was working. You know, you have to put the work in. That's for anything that you do. That's not just for publishing books. That's for anything that you do. You have to nurture. It's your baby, right? We had a baby. You got to raise a baby. And raising a baby is hard work, and it's money too. You know, if you got a little bit of money, that helps you too. You know, but I mean, there are things you can do even if you don't have the money. You can definitely reach out and make yourself visible and get the word out there, get into book clubs, you know, tap into a book club database and send out emails to these different book clubs. Send out free books. People don't believe in that. People think that, oh, I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this. I'm not giving away my book for free. Well, guess what? Don't nobody know you.
Right.
Nobody knows you. Nobody wants to pay $20 for your book because nobody knows you. You know, so it doesn't hurt to give a free book to a book club president. You know, say, hey, try this out. You know, see if you like it and see if you want to recommend it to, you know, your book club. And book club readers are ride or die.
Yeah.
If they like you, you say. You know, that's where most of my success came from in 2011. So, yeah. Long story short, put in the work. You can be successful. You can make money.
But speaking of like getting your whole image together, like you said, you make sure you look the part, you make sure you're visible in all these places. What I find with a lot of self-published authors is that the content is lacking. Like the content is lacking. So I wanted to ask you about like more so getting the book together for publication, like the actual editing process and what it takes, and any of your recommendations on how to get your work ready for publication. Because I see great titles, I see great covers, I see great headshots of authors, I even see great web presence and visibility, but then the content is just... So how do we solve that?
I would say, I mean, some people, there's a difference between skill and talent. You know, I don't think that every author who is a good author out here was a born writer. You know, I don't think that every author out here that's been successful was self-taught and just had this natural talent that they was able to just nurture and put out there. I definitely think that some are taught. You know, and you have to be able to recognize the difference. You know, there's a difference between being a good writer and a good storyteller. You know, if you have both skills, or if you're lacking in one skill, you know, you need to build it up to the other skill so you can have both, so then you can be a good author. And you need somebody to be able, a professional, to be able to tell you that, because sometimes we're not very self-aware. You know, but if you are serious about being an author, or being a successful author, and really doing this and being for real about it, you're going to hire a professional editor who's going to be real with you, who's going to let you know these are your strengths, these are your weaknesses, this is what you need to do. You know, this is how we need to build up your skills. You know, your mom is not necessarily, I mean, unless your mom just happens to be a professional editor, you know. No, you know what I'm saying? Your English teacher, no, you know what I'm saying? Your friend who's good at grammar, no, you know what I'm saying? You need someone who knows editing, who knows what it takes to make a successful story, a successful book. And a professional editor may not necessarily also be an author. You know, not all editors are authors. You know what I'm saying? They may just know the mechanics of writing a book and what works and what doesn't, and you need somebody like that to bring you in. A lot of people discount the editing process when it comes to publishing your book, and it is the single most important step that you can take in publishing your book. If you are serious about publishing, you have to have a good professional editor. That's where it starts. Because if the book isn't good, all the other stuff you just named, like you said, doesn't really matter.
Right.
The cover looks good, you know, you look good, you know, you paying for the advertising and stuff like that, until they open your book and they just like, what is this?
Right.
You know, this is crap. And
right.
if you care about your craft, I think everything boils down to your passion. If you care about your craft, when somebody opens your book and says, this is crap, you know, you might have made a mistake and like, oh, dang, I didn't know I made crap, you know? So the next time you know that you need to take some additional steps. You need to hone your craft. You need to hire a professional editor. You need to maybe get into some writing groups, maybe some writer communities. People get you some test readers, some beta readers, you know, to definitely, you know, build up your craft and make yourself better. If you don't care, you're not going to do that.
Gotcha.
So some people are just, you can't help, you know, but for the people who really care about this and are passionate about this, they're going to do what it takes to make sure that they get some good work out there.
Now, Monique, I have a question for you. Tell me, you made a really good point about the questions that you should ask, you know, an editor. I want to know what type of questions. Maybe give me 5 questions that an aspiring author should ask an editor or someone that they are thinking to hire as an editor.
Oh, so like in the inquiry process, I could say like, cause you know I get my work edited by Nikki Montgomery of Alliance Editing. A plug. She's absolutely awesome. And I could tell you how I found her and the questions I asked. Number 1, do you give sample edits? Do you give a free sample edit? Some editors do not, and I do not understand that. I don't understand how you expect me to hire you, and I don't know what kind of work you do. You could tell me to pick up another book that's published that you've edited, but that's their work. I want to see what you can do with my words, with my work. Can you respect my voice? You know, can you be honest with me? Can you show me that there's supposed to be a period right there? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you do those type of things? So yeah, I would say definitely. Do you provide sample edits? Another good question is, what type of editing do you do? A lot of people don't know the difference between a copy edit or a developmental edit or a structural edit, or you know, just to get a developmental critique or proofreading. You know, I've had clients come to me and say, my book only needs proofreading. It's good, you know, and I look at it, I'm like, no, honey. Like, right. You need you need a page by page, line by line. Hey, this is what you need, you know. But that's not fault. I mean, they just don't know. So what kind of editing do you do? Oh, you do developmental? What is developmental editing? What does that entail? Because different editors are going to tell you different things. You know, for me, a developmental edit means that you are going to get a breakdown of every single part of your book, every single component of your book. It's going to be about 15 pages long. It's going to be, you're going to have a lot of comments in the margin. I'm not just fixing grammatical or, you know, structural errors in your book. I'm not just putting periods here and putting a comma here. I'm saying this does not make sense. This is how it can make sense. You know, I'm telling you the big picture, and I'm breaking it down into the smaller elements so you know how we can get to the big picture. That's what developmental edit is for me. What is a line edit? It's just going line by line, making sure that your grammar is on point, making sure your sentence is structured correctly. So that's another question that you need to ask. You know, what can you do for me? So that's 2 questions. Okay, what's the third question? The third question would probably be, about the process. You know, what does this process look like for me? As you know, and different editors do different things. You know, are you going to edit it more than once for me? Are you going to take me through rewrites? Do you offer coaching during the rewrite process? You know, how, you know, what's your timeline? You know, and by the way, if an editor tells you they can edit your book in like a week, I don't know if they're gonna do that good of a job. So, but if they, but if they, you know, if you want to know the timeline, because I mean, maybe I want my book out in October, and you talking about it's gonna take you 5 months. You know, that doesn't work for me. You know, so definitely ask me what's the process. You know, what's step 1? What's step 2? What does this look like for me? I would ask about any additional services that your editor may offer. Like being an author too, as well as an editor, you get some advantages from me, because if you're talking to me, if we just happen to be talking about your project and you bring up something about, you know, the self-publishing process, you bring up something about getting into bookstores or a book cover, that's knowledge I have. You know, and you're already my client. You're already somebody that I want to see succeed, because I feel like you know, you have the passion, or I wouldn't be working with you if I didn't feel like this was a good project to be working on. I'm going to give you that. So if there's any additional services they offer, any additional knowledge that they may have, it doesn't hurt to ask, you know, what else can you do for me? You know, what else can you offer? What else do you know about this process? So is that 4? Is that 3 or 4? I think
that's 4. Actually, I'm going to give you a 5th one.
I was going to say I know the 5th one too.
What is it?
Well, no, I want to know for the people out there who are writing, what's the realistic time frame for editing?
For me, I can tell you for me, say like a full-length novel that's 250 to 300 pages. I would say in order to do the first round edits, the rewrites, and the second round edits, and let's say you get a critique too, I would say that's 8 to 10 weeks. 8 to 10 weeks. I would say 10 weeks has been the max for me. I definitely try to get it back to you before then. And with a process that takes that long, 10 weeks per se, and that's, by the way, that's only giving you 2 weeks of rewrite time in that process. The rest of the time is mine. For a process that takes that long, I definitely I keep you updated, because I have your baby now, and you want to know what's going on with my baby. It's definitely not silent for all that time. I definitely let you know, hey, I'm on page 100. This is where I am right now. You know, this is how long it's going to take for me to get to the next step. You know, I definitely send out emails, let you know what's going on in the process. I encourage you to call me and talk to me. You know, if you have an anxiety because you don't know what's going on, let's talk about it. You know, that type of thing. But for me, yeah, 10 weeks in order for me to do a good job and to, you know, to give you your money's worth. Now, some editors, they may take, you know, it may not take them as long to do it, and that's no discredit to them. You know, they may do it full time. You know, they may not have, you know, other things that may be going on in my life, you know. Right. And they may be able to get it done quicker than the 10 weeks, but I don't like to overpromise and underdeliver. So I take my time.
My 5th question is, I think what a lot of people are going to ask, how much? Like, what is the price tag that we should be expecting when we hire a professional editor? Because I think that secures and deters a lot of people from hiring an editor. They go to the grammar teacher and they go to their friend who is really good at reading things. Right. You know. So tell us how much people can expect to pay an editor.
Right.
You know, for
editing is not cheap. Editing is not cheap. And it shouldn't be. It's a lot of work. We're going word by word. We're doing like 50,000 words, 60,000 words. You know, it shouldn't be cheap. You want somebody to definitely, if it was going to invest their time. But I've seen a huge price ranges. I know that some editors, they charge by the word. And I've seen anywhere from, you know, like a half a cent a word to 4 cents a word. And of course, that's going to depend on how many words you have, obviously, you know, for your finished manuscript. I charge per page, and personally, my fees are going to range from $3.75 per page up to $8.75 per page, and that's based on, and I'm speaking about me, you know, my business, Make Your Mark, personally, is based on a tier system where I can be fair to everyone. And my tier system is like this: you send me a sample edit, I do a sample edit for you. I mark up, I do all the corrections I need to do, comments and track changes and word track changes, and I'm able to see how many corrections I've made in your sample. I take that, because I do a 10-page edit, I take that and I work on an average. So if you have, say, from 20 to 40 corrections per page, and you're able to see all these corrections, so you're able to see exactly what I did, then your price is going to be this. This is what I'm going to charge you per page. And it's in that way, I think it's fair for everyone. And that way, I'm also not cheating myself. Because a lot of, when I first started out, I would just look at, I would do the work, I would do the corrections, I'll say, okay, yeah, so this is going to be about $4 a page. What is that based on?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not based on anything. And then I end up doing like all this work, and I feel like maybe that wasn't enough for all the work that I did. So yeah, so I can, with that respect, from $3.75 a page to $8.75. No, I'm sorry, $3.50. Is it $3.50 or $3.75? I should know that. I think I started it's $3.50 a page to $8.75 a page. With that being said, I am not the cheapest. I am not the most expensive. I have seen editors that charge $10, $11 per page. I know a woman that came to me who said her manuscript was 82 pages, and she paid $1,300. That to me sounds a little high. But they're out here, and people pay that. I don't know anything about that editor. I don't know what her credentials are. I don't know where she comes from. I can't say that she was ripping her off. I can't say that. I know that when people say, oh my gosh, you're going to charge me $5 a page, I'm like, I'm not the cheapest. I'm definitely not the most expensive. So you can pay anywhere. Let's say you have a 200-page manuscript. You could pay anywhere from $600 on up to like $5,000. There's a huge range. So what you have to look at is what your realistic budget is. Look at, see what your budget is, and also check out the editor's credentials. Check out to see, what other books they've edited. Talk to some of their previous clients, see what the experience was with them, and then also get your sample edit done so you can feel like you're making a wise decision based on the money that you're paying this particular editor. Some people can't afford me. Some people think I'm cheap. There's no real answer to how much editing costs.
Right. Awesome. I think that's going to be the number one. People are going to rewatch that for this, because that's the number one answer people want to hear. Like, how much is all of this? Because I think to get a book ready for publication, editing is key. Like, I am a stickler. I also edit books, so I do understand it. Editing is key. Like, I don't think there are any really great writers. They're really just great editors. Like, that's how I feel about it.
Okay.
Well, all right.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's like I said, it's a step that a lot of people discount, and you can't. Like, and I tell people too, like, I don't edit my own stuff. I hire an editor to edit my stuff every single time. Yes, I've gotten better. She's made me a better writer. That's what a good editor does. A good editor makes you a better writer because you can learn from her or him, about the writing process. And every time I turn a book into her, it's less and less work that she has to do, because I've learned from her. But yeah, absolutely, I would never publish a book without editing it first, getting it edited. Never would I do that, because I want my readers to respect what I'm writing. I want them to focus on the story and not on the errors. And that's interesting. That makes me go back to my first book, Who Was He to You? My editor was not that good. I had my editor for Who Was He to You, she was very good at developmental editing. She was very good at structural. She helped me with the story a lot, but line editings, there was over 150 errors in that book when I published that book.
Wow.
Over 150, and I learned from that process. I learned from that experience. That's my first book. I didn't think when she was done editing, I didn't think I had to read over it. I'm like, it's edited. We about to publish. You know what I'm saying? No. I had to go through, and it was embarrassing for people to come back and tell me, you have errors in your book, you have this and that, and blah, 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 blah. That's embarrassing. You don't want people, focusing on that. And it was definitely a learning experience for me. That was the last time I used her. But that's how important it is. You don't want people to discount you or discredit you as an author because you didn't get your book edited properly.
Well, we are coming up. We are getting ready to close this out. This has been a wonderful discussion. I was going to say, Nadia, do you have anything else you want to say? So before we say goodbye to Monique, because I am, enthralled in this. I can talk about this all day.
You keep laughing. Am I funny?
Yes. Yes.
No, you're connected with me because I have those same sentiments about a lot of things that you're saying.
Yeah, well, people
And
tell me
I think I'm the person on the call that doesn't like commas, periods, exclamation points, semicolons. I don't like any of that. So you two could probably sit in the room and have the greatest conversation ever.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
I wanted you here because I wanted you to talk about your books and the creative process and all of that. So I feel like I've gotten what I needed from this call.
Right.
You know, I know that I know that everyone who's tuned in has also gotten what they need from the call. Monique, tell us how we can reach out to you. Where can we find you on social media? If I want to use your services, tell me where I need to go.
Okay, well, I favor Facebook. I'm on Facebook all the time. You'll see me updating either about my personal life and my daughter or about my business, Make Your Mark Publishing Solutions, all the time. So it's at facebook.com/Monique D. Mensah is my personal page, but I also have my Make Your Mark Publishing Solutions page. That's facebook.com/Make Your Mark PS. So definitely check me out there. I'm always giving like editing tips. I'm always telling you, what I've done for my clients. I'm showcasing my work on there so you can see what type of work that I do for my clients. I'm letting you know what the process is. I'm letting you know what to expect, and also just to get to know me. Because I think that a big part of hiring an editor or somebody who is going to help you publish your book is to feel comfortable with that person. I'm a real person. I've been through the process. I do it too. I'm also on Twitter. Twitter is twitter.com/MakeYourMarkPS. Not really on there that much, but I'm there. So you can follow me on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, Miss Momo. That's MISS_Mo_Mo_. Follow me on there. But if you are looking for information specifically on editing for your manuscripts or self-publishing solutions, like I said, through my company Make Your Mark Publishing Solutions, I don't only edit, but I also facilitate the entire self-publishing process for you. I work as kind of like a ghost publisher, where the book is 100% yours. I don't pay you royalties. It's as if you did it on your own. I just did it for you, and nobody knows. That's just the beauty of it. So if you don't have time or the knowledge or the resources, come to me. I'll handle it for you, from editing to print and everything in between. And if you want more information on that, my website will be up in 2 weeks. That is going to be www.makeyourmarkps.com. In the meantime, you can email me at info@makeyourmarkps.com to ask about a sample edit or a pricing package or whatever it is that you may need from me. Email me. I got you within 24 hours.
And where can we buy your books?
You can buy my books on Amazon.com,
okay.
On BarnesandNoble.com, anywhere where they sell ebooks, or anywhere, any online retailer where books are sold. You can definitely, and you can also request my books at any brick and mortar bookstore, and they will definitely special order them for you. The Malignant Mind series right now, there's 4 published books in the series: Who Is He to You, Inside Rain, Smokescreen, and Nemesis. Check them out. They are great, if I should say so myself. So that's where you can, and you can get it from me. Get it from my website. I have a website. It's MoniqueDMensah.com. You can order it straight from me, and I'll send you an autographed copy.
All right, awesome. Well, it has been our pleasure, everybody. I'm so glad that you all were able to hang out with us, spend some time with us on our very first Hangout. We will be bringing you more of these. We're going to be bringing you other self-published experts. We're going to be talking about publishing. We'll talk more about editing. We're even going to talk about how your business is affected by social media as an author. So we look forward to it. Monique, it has been truly a pleasure. I will stay stalking you via social. I'm just kidding.
Might have a new stalker too.
Don't get scared. I'm not.
You can be first. But thank you so much for having me. This was great. I now know what Google Hangouts is, which is cool. Thanks for telling me that my face was shiny so I could clean it up before we started this. And this was cool. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting me and reading my stuff. And from editor to editor,
You're talking to you.
If there's anything that I can help you with, or we can piggyback off each other, I'm here for you. Nadia knows.
I'm considering us connected now, so.
Absolutely, and Nadia knows. You can ask me anything. And I'm there. So I respect what you guys are doing, and if any way I can support you, I'm there.
We will definitely be reaching out in the future. Yes,
All right.
yes. Nicole, you have anything before we close out for the evening?
I'm going to say this is great. You can always locate any information like this on self-publishing and becoming an author on stokesandmatthewsmedia.com. Get on our roster so that you can continue to get education and things of that nature about publishing your book. And this is going to be available for replay. We'll have it on our YouTube page. We'll post a link shortly after we finish and close out this broadcast. So I'm excited. This is the number one of many. So I'm excited.
All right, you guys have a wonderful evening. You can check us out at, what is the website again, Nicole?
StokesandMatthewsmedia.com.
Duh, the best website in the world. You can also find us on Facebook. Same thing, facebook.com with it's Stokes and Mathews Media, correct? I knew that. Of course. All right, you guys. We look forward to talking to you very soon. You have a wonderful and blessed evening. Bye, Monique.
Bye.
Bye, Nicole.